So hello and as always, welcome to Learning MG. So today I'm bringing you a new video about this Rolex GMT Master 2, but in general we're going to talk a little bit about when should you buy a Rolex. So the question that many of you have been asking me is, when should you buy a Rolex? In this case, we've got here the Rolex GMT Master 2, which I personally really enjoyed. And I'm going to tell you what my humble opinion is on when you actually should buy a Rolex. So we've done a few videos already on the Rolexes and when what is the actual price of them, if they appreciate, if they are a good investment. And today we're going to talk a little bit about when I personally think you should buy a Rolex. So first of all, when evidently you've got enough money to buy, I'm not in the actual scene of at least seeing somebody buy a Rolex and telling you it's correctly bought if you finance it. So personally, I think you should never finance a Rolex or any luxury item, even if you just want to make it a quick sale. It might be the case that you finance it as 8 or 9 or 10% or even more if you're using normal credit cards. And it may be the case that when you try to sell it, you cannot sell it. So first of all, I would say, do not finance it. Then second of all, but it's very important that you know that it is true that it's sold relatively easy, but remember that it might be the case that yours takes a while to actually sell, meaning that if you want to sell it real quick and you cannot actually sell it, you might have to sell it at a discount. And I also remember that the market of the Rolexes fluctuates, meaning that this current model, for instance, a few months ago was valued $3,000 more than what it currently is valued at. So bear that in mind too. It's very important, I believe, that you actually take that into consideration, okay? Next of all, I do think that they are very greatly made. I mean, the craftsmanship in these watches is amazing. In general, there are many watches, many luxury watches that have a great craftsmanship, but it is true that this current model, I've got many friends that have had this model, the previous models for about 20-30 years, no actual maintenance, and they actually work pretty well non-stop. It is true that Rolex does say that you should do some maintenances. Some say 5 years, some say 10 years, some say after 3 to 5 years. But certainly it is true that I've had friends that had it for 20-30 years and haven't had any maintenances, and it still works like day one, okay? Then also remember that it is true that, for instance, this model right here costs about 10,000 bucks, and you could actually lose it, meaning that you are gonna lose a watch that is valued at $10,000. So bear that into consideration once you are wearing it, as remember that it's quick money that people see. And it is true that, let's say, I always say that you the watch you buy shouldn't actually, at least for the first time, shouldn't be more than 10% of your net worth. So I think that a sensible idea would be around 5 to 6%, meaning that for instance, let's round up numbers. Let's say you bought this $10,000 watch retail and that you are worth 1,000 euros or $1,000. Essentially, remember that if they actually, let's say that you by accident tend to wear this watch where you shouldn't, and you are there's a problem or an issue with it and you've misplaced it and you don't know where it is, well, remember that you are losing 10%. And you're going to tell me, well, but maybe it's insured. Yeah, but at the end of the day, maybe they won't give you the actual value, market value. They'll give you the price you paid. So essentially, just be careful. So I'm not going to try to talk about insurance. I'm just talking about being careful with your actual Rolex, which costs you so much money. So now we're going to answer real quick the question. So when should you buy the Rolex? With how much money? So you've just heard it a minute ago. I think that it should, the actual watch you buy should be more than 7 or 8% of the actual money you have, meaning that I think that if you have $1,000 or 1,000 euros, I think you should not spend more than 10,000 on that watch. Now you're gonna tell me, okay, but you should wear it if you like it and buy it if you like it. Well, I'm just telling you what I would do. This is my personal opinion, not the actual truth. This isn't a book or a guide that tells you when to buy a Rolex. I'm just telling you how or when I would buy. So if you've got 10,000 bucks to spend on a watch, it means your net worth should be around 10,000 or 100,000 euros. Now, I'm not saying that you should have 100,000 liquid, okay? I'm not talking about that, but I am talking that if you summed up all your, let's say you had 7 YouTube channels, then you should actually sum them up and see how much they are worth, okay? Or just have someone test up the actual price so you can have an idea of how much you can spend on a watch. That's my humble opinion, but not just with Rolexes, with any actual luxury item. Remember that, yes, there are some Rolex models that do increase in value, but remember that not all models increase in value and not all actual brands have the actual possibility of gaining money, of you gaining money if you sell it, okay? So I would tell you that if you're not financing it, you're not thinking of it purely as an investment, you're just thinking of wearing it, you like it, and you've reached a milestone, maybe, let's say you reach 150,000 euros, and you want to do it, celebrate it as a milestone, and you get these Rolexes at retail price, then by all means buy it. I certainly wouldn't pay the premium of the secondary market, but that's just my personal opinion. I've got many friends that do actually pay the premium. I just think that paying double the price of a watch, especially a luxury item, in my humble opinion, I'm not there yet. And even if I was, I don't know if I would pay the premium, okay? There are some watches just like this one, which is pretty much amazing, and you do not need to spend double the price if you wait patiently. There are some actual Rolex dealers which, even if you're actually young and you just want to buy and you haven't heard a great history, I'm sure that you will buy, maybe not the Daytona Panda, but I'm sure you will get a great watch, okay? In general, I think that watches are meant to be worth. And if they actually see that you're into wearing watches, that you do not sell them or flip them the second you go out of the shop. Now, nobody is telling you that in 10 years, if you need the money, you sell a few of them. That's no issue. The problem is if they constantly see that you're buying and selling them. And you'll tell me, how do they know? Well, there's a serious number over here. And bear in mind that there are many people willing to make a bang for the buck. If you actually, for instance, this watch, if you just take it out of the shop, you can earn easily 5 grand of it. So I am sure that many people use this to buy another luxury item and so on. But remember, I strongly recommend that you do not buy it for business. There are some times where the watch market is strong and others where it isn't, and you may find yourself that you cannot actually sell it. But you'll tell me, but just like in the stock market, well, totally agree. Sometimes if you invest money that you need in the stock market, then at some point you'll need to sell it, and maybe at a loss, okay? So remember to just buy what you like, but with common sense. Nothing, in my humble opinion, nothing more than 6-7% of your net worth. And when you buy, yes, make sure that you like it in case you had to sell it. Yeah, if you actually earn a little bit on top, that would be wonderful. But bear in mind that it may not be the case, and you may find yourself in a position where you have to sell it at a loss, okay? So just be sensible. I know that what a subscriber once told me, you're not too dramatic on your opinions, therefore you'll never have too many views. Okay, that may be the case, but remember that you're just trying to do your best. The money is very hard to earn, your hard-earned money, and remember, you do not want to just lose it. And for those of you who have asked me in the previous videos, which was this actual case which I've been using, well, essentially it's a case which I use to save my watches, and I think it's pretty much amazing. You can buy any of them in the actual, let's say, on a shop whatsoever. They are pretty much amazing, but I don't want, it's not publicity, it's just many of you have been asking me. This one is actually of a Yanko, okay, so in case you were wondering. But in general, I think it's a great watch, and I certainly, when I go on vacation, I usually just put it around here. So I just put it in. It has a watch roll in it. I know this isn't publicity. This is just my humble opinion, okay? So as always, if you've got any questions, just leave it down here in the comments below with me, or anyone from the Learning MG team will answer as shortly as possible. And as always, thank you very much for watching.